He's the king of rant, and he's coming to rant in Sarasota. Comedian Lewis Black will return to the Van Wezel Sunday, December 11th. He's performed on Comedy Central's The Daily Show since the late 90s and has performed in almost 3 dozen comedy specials, including for HBO. Now, in part 2 of my interview with Lewis, he talked about his parents, his mother still being alive at 103, and I asked him if he takes his parents' genes, does that mean he'll do comedy for us for another 30 or 40 years?
No, I don't think I could do it for another 30 or 40 years. That's just madness. I mean, I'll stand up occasionally and have I'll do a knock-knock joke every so often. That'll be it. Something quick, simple, to the point. There's other things I'd like to do, and I'd like to enjoy some things that I didn't get to do because I was running around this country like a maniac. I mean, I was doing 200 dates a year at some points, which was great, and I loved every minute of it. But I'd like to see other parts of the world, and I'd like to do a little teaching, and I'd like to do a little more writing.
We worry about health so much that we are the fattest group of people in the world. Nobody's fatter than us. Nobody. And if there was an Olympics of fat, we'd win the gold, the silver, and the bronze, because nobody could fit in the stadium with us.
In the 2000s, one of the things I remember you would go into a little bit is there were so many things happening, I haven't even had the time to make jokes on them because other terrible things would happen the next day. And that was in the 2000s. So fast forward to now, how do you keep up?
Well, the good news is I've had the summer off, so that's been good. So that I can't keep up. It's like, one thing after another. You get through this, and then, oh boy, there's a war in the Ukraine. Boy, they're screaming at each other in Congress. They're losing their minds about this. There's a monkeypox. You get through all of this, then there's monkeypox. I mean, it's endless. It is. I describe it as I won't even say the word. In French, it's merde. It's a merde storm. Got it? Look it up. Look it up. They're yelling about the climate change stuff, this new bill that came through. And we were running around screaming about that since the 60s, for God's sake. And 500 years later, we were able to come up with, well, we're going to give 25, we're going to give 3 cents on every $1 billion toward kind of like staving off a complete meltdown of the planet. Okay, and I know some of you have a difficult time understanding that, and I'm really sorry. Okay, but but that's the way it goes sometimes. And but that was what we were trying to do, and it took forever. And then they're still yelling about it. You kind of go, wow.
Alternative energy and climate change, I mean, that's been a staple of a lot of your work as far as bits and material revolving around that. You've talked about that a lot. I mean, did you see any of the recent news on the climate change bill or on the electric charging stations that are being pushed with the infrastructure bill? Do you ever see that and not just think it's about time, but can I make this funny or not? Because it's something like you wanted, right? Or at least partial of what you wanted.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'll find ways to make it funny because eventually what they'll do is they'll put 12,000. I'll tell you what they're going to do. I mean, we already know this. They'll put 1 billion charging stations in South Dakota where nobody lives. That's what they'll do. Oh yeah, I've got this. That's the problem people have with government. That the government doesn't know what it's doing from time to time, and there'll be 6 in Florida where the sun is. Wherever it could work, wherever it's necessary, you'll have like 1/10 of what you need, and in the other states, they'll be screaming, "Where's our charging stations?" Well, you got 3 electric cars there, you schmuck. That's why you don't get a charging station. But that's what'll happen. I realized that I had written something in the 60s. They used to have these ads in the Times that Exxon, or at that time, or Esso, if they were even called that at the time. On the editorial page, there'd be this little box, an advertisement for Exxon. And they'd run these little editorials about their energy, about gasoline and how important it was. And I wrote a thing goes about how solar energy was a threat because, things like, you don't want solar energy because with lines like the sun goes away each day and it doesn't tell you where it's going. And the sun burns, oil soothes. You know, and that was 50 years ago.
Do you? I know.
As somebody who has followed him for 20 some odd years now, complete joy to talk to him. And, you know, for somebody who's so angry all the time, he tells me he rants about stuff because he thinks they can be better, not because he just thinks everything is doomed. And for someone so angry, he was very, very sweet. Enjoyed talking to him. He will be here December 11th at the Van Wezel. Tickets are already available. We have details to buy those tickets and part 1 and 2 of this interview with Lewis Black on our website at snntv.com.